Well, hello, this is Linda from North Central Texas, and I showed you how to make cowboy candy. Now we're going to make cantaloupe candy. And all this whole bowl of cantaloupe is what I just got out of the garden. I've already got all the seed out of it and kind of sliced it up a little bit. But I got to slice it up again because I'm going to put it in the dehydrator to make the candy. So all you do, and this is nothing but white sugar and cinnamon. You can make the cinnamon as strong or as weak as you want in your bowl. It's up to you. But first off, you've got to slice your cantaloupe into thin slices. That looks like it's about 1/4 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch on the outside, and of course it's thinner on the inside because cantaloupe has a lot of water in it. So if you're going to dehydrate it, you do have to slice it up pretty thin. And I'm doing this in my dehydrator, but you can do it in the oven. It may take a little longer or it may not in the oven. I know I'm going to, because it's a lower heat in the dehydrator, it's going to stay on there all night. And then I'll have to check it tomorrow and see how it's doing. I've never tried it in the oven before, but they say you can dehydrate it on about 140 or 180. You know, real cool oven. Spread it out on a real thin sheet, you know, like a cookie sheet. But put parchment paper underneath it because it will stick to the pan. And leave it in there for about 4 or 5 hours. You have to check it to make sure, you know, to see how it's coming. It may take longer than that. I don't know. It depends on how big a pieces your cantaloupe is, how thick they are, and all of that. The humidity where you live. And you can make watermelon candy. You can take just about any type of fruit, even apples, and make candy with it. You do have to like cook apples and stuff though. And if you wanted to make like a cantaloupe fruit roll-up, you'd have to cook your cantaloupe just a little bit. But I'm going to try my best to fill up my dehydrator here. You know, it does have 5 tiers, so I'm not sure how long it's going to take. To get it all dehydrated. But I guess I'll find out. You know, these are all the honey, the early dew melons, which basically are like a cantaloupe. They're just smooth on the outside. That I planted this year. I had no idea whether they would do anything or not. And they're the ones that had vines going all over the yard right with the watermelon. So I've definitely saved my seed, so I'm going to replant them again next year. But you can use an allspice. Kind of season them up the way you want them. I'm going to use just cinnamon and sugar with mine. And I'll have to do this video in 2 parts because, like I said, it's going to probably take all night or longer for this melon to dehydrate in my dehydrator. So when it gets done, then I'll do a part 2 and show you how it turned out. Now you can either let it go till it dehydrates and it's still semi soft, or you can just go ahead and dehydrate completely where it's like a cantaloupe chip, whichever one you prefer. I'm just going to wait and see how the texture is when I get it done. And then I'll decide, you know, how I want to do it. If I want to do it when it's still semi-soft, or if I want to do it as like a chip. I made watermelon chip, not watermelon, but tomato chips, cucumber chips, and that type of thing before in the dehydrator. And I really liked them. But then you just dip it a little bit, and then the sugar and the you don't have to completely cover it too much, but you know, you want to get a little bit on each side of it. And the watermelon is wet enough that it sticks. So and like I said, if you're going to put it in an oven, just line your cookie tray with a parchment paper or some kind of aluminum foil or something, so it doesn't completely stick to the pan. You might have an easier time getting it off if it's on parchment paper. But on this dehydrator, I'm not putting anything under it. I'm just going to put it on the rack. And I'm hoping I get about a complete full dehydrator full of it, because I'm looking forward to this cantaloupe candy. And it's not hot, so I'll definitely be able to eat it. But there's a lot of vegetables you can do this way out of your garden. Like I said, you can do cucumbers. You can dehydrate your tomatoes. You can dehydrate potatoes in cubes. You can do squash in cubes. And then store them in a sterile glass jar that has a really good sealed lid on it. And then you hydrate them when you get ready to use them, where you can put the potatoes like in a soup or anything like that. But you do all kind of fruit, veggies, you name it. It's kind of unlimited. Have to use your imagination. I can't imagine how this is going to smell when I get it hot, a little bit warm. It's bound to smell good, because it'll probably bring out the smell of the cantaloupe and the cinnamon and the sugar. Got one tray. And I might just sit down here. Sit down here while I'm doing it. It smells good just putting the cinnamon sugar on the cantaloupe, because you got the smell of the cantaloupe and then you got the cinnamon and the sugar, and it naturally smells good. Can't help but smell good. Yeah, I had so many cantaloupe that got ripe all of a sudden. I was afraid to wait till I went to my son, so I said, well, I'm going to go ahead and make cantaloupe candy. And this is a great way to keep cantaloupe and enjoy it. And if you don't have a freezer, or if you don't want to go to the trouble of canning stuff, you can just dehydrate it and put it in your glass jar and seal it. And if it's not completely dehydrated, I think you can keep it probably 2 weeks or up to a month in the refrigerator. But if it's dehydrated, then you can keep it almost indefinitely. I'm getting sugar fingers. I can't imagine the watermelon like this. And I didn't measure out the sugar. I didn't measure out the cinnamon. I just kind of mixed it in the bowl to where I think I would have liked it. Like I said, you can put as much cinnamon in there as you want. It's up to you. I just put in there what I thought I would like. I think it's fun sometimes just to experiment with food and see what you can do with different foods. And if you run out of sugar and cinnamon, just mix up some more, which I'll probably have to do because I'm using a little bit more than what I thought I would use for this, just these 2 trays. And I've got 3 more trays to do. And everybody's got candy on their mind right about now, so I said, well, this would be a neat thing to do, is make cantaloupe candy. Hopefully it doesn't stick too bad to my trays. I mean, it shouldn't. They're made to dehydrate stuff on, so might stick a little bit, but it'll come up though. I think I'll have a problem. I'm on my 3rd tray, but I gotta cut up some more cantaloupe and I gotta wash my fingers off. Because my fingers were caked with sugar. Sugar and cinnamon. Got it all up under my fingernails. And I'll have to put more sugar in there. And you can make a puree out of this just like you do pumpkin. And make like the cantaloupe leather, as they call it. I know all kids like that. I started to do that, but I said, nah, I don't think I want to make leather. This will be about the next best thing. I wonder how many different ways anybody out there watching this video has ever fixed cantaloupe. Or if you've ever fixed the fruit leather, as they call it. It'd be like almost cantaloupe taffy or something. Yeah, but I said these things grew so well in my yard, even though we had that extreme heat and drought, that I was definitely going to plant them next year. Anything that you grow in your garden and it does well, save your seed and replant it the next year. I think this dehydrator I'm going to put on about 180. If you're putting it in the oven, you can turn it on about 140 or maybe a little higher. These would be great snacks for your kids to take to school with them, because you could put them in baggies and they're eating candy, but they're eating cantaloupe too, so. I mean, it'll have some sugar in it, but not as much as a regular candy would have. Put some more sugar over there. I've got my hand all sticky, so I don't want to touch the bag with my sticky hand. I've probably used about a cup of sugar so far, counting the first I did and this. Oh, let me mix that up with. Yeah, it's just a slow process, but doesn't take that long, and it's not that difficult to do. You see that it's just a matter of slicing up your cantaloupe and dipping it in cinnamon and sugar, or whatever spices you want to put in there. I guess you could use a pumpkin spice or anything, but I preferred to use the sugar and the cinnamon. And I bet it would be good with brown sugar. I haven't tried it with brown sugar. Yeah, I got to thinking, I said, what am I going to do with all this cantaloupe? I can't sit there and eat that whole bowl. And it would be bad by the time I got to my son's house, because I don't get to go over there that often. Usually it's at holidays. It's not like he lives across the street, so. And my daughter doesn't either. Oh, I can't wait. I want to try some of it. I know it's going to be good. I just know it. Now I gotta get another tray. I think I'm gonna have enough to fill all the trays up and have some left over. I'll be able to eat some of it just plain. And I've got more out there on the vines, and I'm just leaving them there till I think they're ripe enough to pick. Because the vines have tried to, they're trying to die. But they're still feeding those cantaloupes, so I'm not going to pick them until I have to. Next door neighbor's dog is going crazy. There's people that keep going by the street or driving by, and he goes crazy over that. Chasing it all over the table. Oh, I need more sugar. I'm not going to mix up quite as much as I did because I've only got one more tray after this, and I don't want to store this sugar and cinnamon. I'd rather just mix up what I think I'm going to be using. wash my fingers off again because that cantaloupe is so watery. I guess I should have dried it off a little bit before I tried to put it in there. I didn't think of that. I won't need too much more. There is no telling what you're going to see me come up with on my channel. Of course, there's probably been somebody that's thought of doing this before instead of making the fruit leather. Just make it this way. Hardest thing is to getting it sliced the way you want it. Really didn't intend to put that much sugar on there, but it's got on there, so oh well. Should be good. Got the last one. Hopefully this will be I might have to slice a little bit more cantaloupe, but I may even have to mix up more sugar. I don't know. Y'all need to leave me some comments in the, on my video and let me know what you think of this and if you've ever tried it before. I've not seen a recipe of doing this. I've just seen the recipe to do the leather, the fruit leather. And they say you can do the cantaloupe that way. But I decided to do it this way. My God, if the ants ever got into that, they would have a time, wouldn't they? Let's hope they don't. That's why I'd rather dehydrate my stuff in a dehydrator. I know some people put it out on their porch or somewhere else, and if I did that here, I would end up with ants everywhere. I mean, that seems like a lot of cantaloupe, but you know it will reduce down. It'll dry when it dehydrates. It's gonna shrink up. It will definitely shrink up. Oh, I need to get just a little bit more sugar. A little bit more cinnamon. And I need another piece or two of cantaloupe. If it wasn't the fact that it had so much water in it already, it would not take so long to dehydrate it. But the fact that it's full of water takes a little while to get it dehydrated. There, and I think I got my dehydrator full. Oh, Lordy. I almost got that whole bowl. Only got a little bit left down in there, and I can eat that. Some tonight and some tomorrow. Get this cleaned up. Yeah, I got a whole dehydrator full. But, you know, if any of you've ever dehydrated anything before, you'll know that it will shrink up to almost at least half or less of what's there. Yeah, I don't want to leave a crumb of sugar. Definitely don't want ants all over my table. But I'm going to put the lid on it. Put it over here on the table where it stays. I'm going to plug it in. Whoop. Shit. I got it plugged in. Sorry about that. I knocked the camera over. But as you can see, I've got the dehydrator going, and it's full of cantaloupe. And I've got it set on, let's see, what have I got it set on? turn it up just a tiny bit. Got it probably on one. Put it up a little bit, almost to 140. And then it's going to stay there all night and probably part of the day tomorrow, or until I think it's dried to my liking. And then I will do a part 2 on the video and get back with you and let you know how it did. And with that, I'm going to wish you a blessed day. Please like, share, and subscribe to my videos. And have a blessed evening.